And welcome back to this last segment of Focal Point AFR Talk. Number to call, 888-589-8840, 888-589-8840. We'll take phone calls second half of this segment. This just cracks me up. There's some website run by a guy named Ed Brayton, and he has this Brian Fisher Award that he has on his website, and he gave it today to Buster Wilson, to my colleague, the guy that comes on before me with AFA Today. So Buster Wilson, a proud Brian Fisher Award nominee. This is an award. The Brian Fisher Award is given to those who display an astonishing lack of self-awareness and no sense of irony. So Buster Wilson, the proud nominee for displaying an astonishing lack of self-awareness and no sense of irony. Now, I think we've got those two Paul Ryan clips fixed. Amy did a great job of going after those again. So assuming we don't have the same technical problems with the source material, that's where the problem came from originally, is with the source material. Here is Paul Ryan talking about what a Judeo-Christian view of charity and welfare looks like in action. Let's listen.
We have Brian Wade. Where's Brian? We have Brian Wade with us here today. Where is Brian? When Brian felt called to open a homeless shelter in Elyria, he didn't just volunteer his time. He and his wife moved their family, a baby and 2 young ones, into the shelter and lived there for 7 years. He and his volunteers, Brian and his volunteers didn't just provide hot meals and clean clothes, though that would have been a lot. At his youth outreach center, he didn't just give kids a safe place to come in from the streets. In all of this, Brian gave himself. He didn't show people in need the right path. He walked it with them, not just as a guide, but as a friend. This good man and others like him, they are witnesses. And the needy people who have encountered them feel a presence greater than just one compassionate soul. What's really at work here is the Spirit of the Lord, and there is no end to the good that it can inspire. Government can't replace that.
Isn't that beautiful? I think we'll skip the fourth clip because it sounds like we still have a little bit of technical problems. Isn't that a great, the Spirit of the Lord? Here's Paul Ryan talking honestly about that and saying, look, what happens when the Spirit of the Lord is at work through his people, government cannot replace that. And ladies and gentlemen, this is a man that is asking for our vote as the next vice president of the United States. To me, that's just a remarkable thing. And it's, it just kind of makes me have that tingle up the leg that Chris Matthews is talking about. I think I've got it right now. So Rob, what do you think about the next one? You think we can play that? Okay, let's go for the fourth clip. This is, again, Paul Ryan talking about what government's responsibility is and is not when it comes to welfare and society.
So what is government's duty when it comes to the institutions of civil society? Basically, it is to secure their rights, respect their purposes, and preserve their freedom. Nothing undermines the essential and honorable work these groups do quite like the abuse of government power. Take what just happened this past January, when the Department of Health and Human Services issued new rules requiring Catholic hospitals, charities, and universities to violate their deepest principles. Never mind your own conscience, they were basically told. From now on, you're going to do things the government's way. This mandate isn't just a threat to religious charities. It's a threat to all those who turn to them in times of need. In the name of strengthening our safety net, this mandate and others will weaken it. Here's the good news. When Mitt Romney is president, this mandate will be gone.
And what I love there is the applause. And I asked Amy to leave the applause in there when she was cutting out that clip because I wanted you to hear how ordinary American voters are responding to that kind of a message. This is the message that the American people want to hear, and Paul Ryan is bringing that message. Now, a couple more sound bites before we go to the phones, 888-589-8840. Sarah Palin used the phrase shuck and jive on a Facebook page, and Chris Matthews took umbrage with her using the phrase shuck and jive and said this is a totally racist thing. He's talking, let's start with clip 10, Rob. Play that one first. This is Jonathan Alters on the Chris Matthews program. They're responding to Sarah Palin's use of the expression shuck and jive, and they're saying it is a racist epithet on Sarah Palin's Facebook page. Here's what Jonathan Alters says in response to a question Chris Matthews asked him.
I actually think my old friend Clarence is being a little bit polite. I think this is rank racism. You know, sometimes people on the right get very upset when people on the left charge racism, but, you know, shuck and jive, that's like talking about watermelon, or, you know, for Jews, talking about Jews are greedy, or the Irish are drunk, or whatever. These are racist tropes, and we need to call them what they are.
So that's Jonathan Alter, left-wing commentator. It's rank racism. Well, if that is, what is it when Tim Russert uses the term shuck and jive on July 18, 2003? Andrew Cuomo uses it in 2008, talking about Barack Obama. You can't shuck and jive at a press conference. Steve McMahon on Hardball was talking to Tucker Carlson and said, that's not the way I would have put it. Jay Carney, who is a spokesman for Barack Obama, said, sorry, at a press conference September 7, 2011, sorry, I'm not going to shuck and jive. It's time to shuck and jive. So Sarah Palin says Obama's shuck and jive ends with Benghazi lies. All of a sudden, that's racist, but it's not when Tim Russert, Andrew Cuomo, and Jay Carney use it. Well, what about Chris Matthews? Here's Chris Matthews talking to Rachel Maddow, July 7, 2010. Listen to the phrase that's on Chris Matthews' lips.
It's up to Afghans who they choose, and we can't stay forever and make that decision for them. We can't occupy this country, not only financially and politically, because it wouldn't work. The longer we stay, the weaker the Afghan government is.
Okay, you're not from the Rolling Stone, but you are from MSNBC. What has it been like as you shuck and jive, hang out with the men over there, the women over there, in uniform, risking their lives every day? How's the reaction to you, Rachel Maddow?
So there's Chris Matthews. Rank racism. Using shuck and jive, says Jonathan Alter, is like talking about watermelon. Or, you know, for Jews, talking about Jews are greedy, or the Irish are drunk. These are racist tropes. We need to call them what they are. I'm calling out Chris Matthews for rank racism and using a racist tropes, his guests' words, not mine. Well, let's go to the phones, finish up the program today. Let's grab a call from Jay in Eustis, Texas. Jay, you're on Focal Point with Brian Fisher. What's on your mind?
Well, hello, Brian.
Hey.
And I just want to go back to a different issue, the Washington vote. And it kind of puzzles me because I'm not aware of any law anywhere in the United States that prevents a homosexual from getting married. Any homosexual has complete marriage equality, can marry just as heterosexuals can. They just can't marry someone of the same sex.
Exactly right. That's very, very good, Jay, and I've made that point often. Homosexuals right now have full marriage equality in all 50 states for exactly the reason that Jay is saying. A homosexual has full marriage equality right now. They can get married on the same basis that anybody else in America can get married to one adult non-relative member of the opposite sex. They have full marriage equality right now. Great observation, Jay. I appreciate that.
That's a big reason it's not a civil rights issue.
That's exactly right. Very, very good. All right. Thank you, Jay, for that. And that's a great comment to remember. If you're in a conversation, they have full marriage equality. Marriage has never been an unrestricted right. You can't marry more than one person. You can't marry a child. You can't marry your own child. You can't marry your first cousin in 30 states. You can't marry your mom. You can't marry your grandmother. I mean, it's always been there's never been an unrestricted right. There have always been common sense parameters around the institution of marriage. Homosexuals right now, ladies and gentlemen, have full marriage equality right now, as you and I speak, as Jay pointed out, in all 50 states. Great observation, Jay. Thank you for that. Let's go to Emilio, Victoria, Texas. Emilio, you're on Focal Point with Brian Fisher. What's on your mind?
Hey, Brian, how you doing?
Good.
I just have a few issues on that homosexual marriage.
Yes, sir.
I mean, we need to call it what it is, and that's fornication.
Mm-hmm.
And also on Hillary, on she taking the blame for the incident that happened up there in Libya.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, we go back to for when it started. I mean, that was after the Bush era, and then Clinton took office, and then he lied under oath about him not having no sexual affairs.
Uh-huh.
I think she still feel hurt about that, and she's carrying that on with her. Maybe she wants to have her husband feel guilty, but we also got to realize that when he lied, he brought the father of lies in there, and what's happening right now. I mean, even God says, you know, if you got ears, listen, hear, and so I mean, the lies are in there, and people need to realize, you know, what's going on. You know, the father's life is in the White House right now, and we need to get him out of there.
All right. Well, I appreciate that, Emilio. Thank you for that. It is interesting, that dynamic between Bill and Hillary Clinton is a very interesting dynamic. And again, according to Ed Klein, Bill Clinton is pressing Hillary Clinton to throw Barack Obama under the bus. According to Ed Klein, she's got State Department documents that show that she tried to bulk up security at the Libyan consulate, and it was turned down by people above her, which ultimately would be Barack Obama. And Bill Clinton says, look, he's turning you into the scapegoat. You've got the documents that prove that you asked for security, and he's the one that turned it down. You can throw him under the bus. If she does, that would be the end of the election for Barack Obama, and maybe the end of whatever chance she would have getting her party's support in 2016. Tricky spot. Now may our Lord Jesus Christ himself and God our Father, who loved us and gave us eternal comfort and good hope through grace, comfort your hearts and establish them in every good work and word. We're fighting a winnable war. See you tomorrow.
The views and opinions expressed in this broadcast do not necessarily reflect those of American Family Association or American Family Radio.